Let's go! Welcome back to another edition of The House That Allen Built. I am Scott Martin, with me as always,
Greg Vollmer.
And after our long-awaited, much-anticipated return, we are back. It is Week 16, and we're going to cover the Week 15 game with the Buffalo Bills playing the Miami Dolphins at home. We missed the Jets recap, but they won 20-12.
We missed a week, but it felt like we missed a month in some ways.
I know.
It's good to be back.
It is. We didn't do the recap of the Jets, and we didn't do the preview of the Dolphins, but we did have the Dolphins losing to the Bills, so there is that.
Scott was under the weather last week and was just trying to recover and then tell the audience about your trip after you recovered.
Okay. I almost didn't make it, but my friend Nathan, the troll that says he hates the Bills or Josh Allen or whatever, but really, he likes them.
He's the one that did the hilarious video where he dropped the Josh Allen card twice in a puddle.
Yes. Well, we gave him a card because he leaves comments in every episode, even though he doesn't want to. He does it to mess with us. He's like, when is this show getting canceled? We're here. We're still here. It didn't get canceled, I promise. We will be renewed for a second season, maybe. If we get more than 5 comments in this video. I went to Seattle with Nathan, and we went up on Thursday I think we left around 11 a.m. We didn't get there until like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And we checked into our hotel, Hyatt Regency. It was very nice. And we went to the Seattle Seahawks at home against the San Francisco 49ers game. It was a Thursday night football game, and our buddy Ryan Fitzpatrick was there.
Yeah.
What are you wearing? What jersey is that?
This is not a Diggs jersey. This is a Fitzmagic jersey. Yes, indeed.
And I was in the front row while he was recording, and I was going to say something or try to get his attention. I didn't bother. The man was working. But it was a good game. The 49ers took it to the Seahawks. It wasn't that great for them. He asked me, should I start Kenneth Walker? And I'm watching him during warmups, and he's looking nice. And I'm like, yes, start him. Because he was healthy enough to start. I didn't think the 49ers' solid defense was going to be able to stop him the whole game.
It's been a long time since I racked my brain or overthought or was as nervous as I was deciding if I should start Kenneth Walker against the Niners or not. Because all the experts and a lot of people online in the Yahoo fantasy chats were saying, don't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Don't start Walker. Then you had some that were like, oh, never sit your studs. You had others that were like, everyone's going to say you never sit your studs, but this is the one time where you do sit your studs. Ended up starting him, and he put up 9 points against the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
Ended up being a win because my other running back options put up less that week.
Oh, so nice. Okay, so
it actually worked out. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And you also are in the semis now.
I am in the semis, yeah. So
yeah, you had nearly 160
I put
points?
almost 160 points up. I moved to the semis. Now I'm in the semis to try to get to the championship. If I win this next week's game or this upcoming week's game, it'll be my second year in a row getting to the championship. I won last year, so I'm trying to become the third person in this 12-man league to win twice in a row.
If you win, bring your trophy that you won. I want to see it on camera.
Yeah,
set that sucker right here.
It's going to be tough. I still got 2 long weeks to go, and it's not going to be easy, and I can't take anything for granted. I'm just happy to be past the first round because I feel like the biggest letdown when you win a fantasy championship is well, first of all, not making it the next year. Second of all, getting one and done in the playoffs the next year.
Yeah.
So I avoided that. Allen came through in the clutch for me.
44 points,
Man,
something like that?
Yeah. McKinnon for the Chiefs has been just an absolute godsend.
What
for
a
my
great
fantasy
pickup.
team.
And you got him for free.
Got him for free off of waivers. But
Anyone who
anyways,
did.
So
So
you were
I'm
watching
also in the semis.
Yeah.
I'm 11-3, and I had a bye week, so I'm the number 1 seed, and I'm playing my brother this week, who's got a hell of a team. So, but back to the weekend. Actually, it was Thursday night. We went and enjoyed that game with some other buddies. Nathan's childhood buddy Corey and somebody who works with Kyle. They went to the game. It was a lot of fun, and then we hung out Friday, walked around Pike Street and by the Starbucks, the first one that was ever made. That was the founding one.
Yep.
And on Saturday, I met Mike Tyson, the Mike Tyson. Got a nice photo with him. I did the little fist thing. It was cool meeting him. He's nice. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I did come home with some Seattle cider. It's a Honeycrisp hard cider, and I'm drinking one right here. But to be honest with you, if you're a cider person, you might like it, but they're so sweet. Ciders in general, even if they're the best of the ciders, if you drink too many of them, they're so sweet, they'll turn your stomach, at least mine.
Yeah. But if you're having one or two, and especially probably
light.
it'd be a good summer cider too. give it a shot.
So I was sick, almost didn't go.
You wore your Bills gear to the game. Did you mention that?
I always do. That's a given.
Yeah, wore your Bills
That
gear
was my
again.
third NFL stadium of the year. I went to the home opener for Chicago, actually, the team that we're playing this coming week. I went to, actually, that was the NFL opener on Thursday night, 9/11. It was that downpour, the storm.
Yep. Where Justin Fields is just sliding.
Oh, it was sweet. My phone memory was full as I hit record. I got some of the San Francisco fan that had the rain pouring down on them, and that went viral. Several of them got on Instagram, got a couple million. On TikTok, it got a couple million. Wherever I put it. But anyway, I had a good time, and meeting Mike Tyson was cool. Hanging out in Seattle is always nice. What I like about that is that it's a big city, but it has a small town vibe when it comes to the art and like the local mom and pop shops. Like everything's local. There's not a lot of corporate stuff there. Yeah. It's like what Portland wants to be. There were still homeless and crack pipes and people out there with their foil and their spoons, and I'm like, geez, like you can't take your kids out, you know. During the day it was fine, but at night, holy cow.
Seattle is a very cool city. There is a lot of cool things about it. Bigger than a city than I would ever want to live in, but going to visit, it's a blast.
Yeah. What's nice is it's on the West Coast. It's right at the coast, where Portland, you get the port, you get the Willamette River and the Columbia River, and you can go to the coast, but you're not at the coast. You're an hour and a half from there. And you get all different sorts of landscape, geography, elevation, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was fun, and I'm glad I was able to make it. I'm glad I'm feeling a lot better now. I got the bug from our 7-year-old.
The only bummer is that because of your trip, you didn't make it back for the Bills-Dolphins game in time. So you and Nathan stopped at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
I did. I had some wings.
Part of it in the car.
We were on our way back, but we weren't going to make it, so we stopped in Tacoma at the Buffalo Wild Wings there. And I watched the first half there and then watched the rest on my phone in the car. Got YouTube TV, and I've also got NFL Plus. So I was going to watch it either way. I heard that NFL and Google are going to partner up for next year, hopefully. That's the word. It'll be on YouTube TV for the NFL Sunday Ticket.
That would be
I've been
so
begging
awesome
for that, but you know, you've had DirecTV with the exclusive rights. So I watched the 49ers take the NFC West, then watched the Bills take the AFC East. They beat the Dolphins. The final score was 32-29. The Dolphins fall to 8-6, and the Bills improve to 11-3. They're on a 5-game winning streak going into Chicago for this coming week.
It was another stressful matchup. So it was much like the first time we played the Dolphins, except for instead of 100+ degree heat, you had, I wouldn't say it was bone-chilling cold, but it was very much a different side of the spectrum this time around. It was
I wish it were colder.
But it was another close game, and as happy as I am that we got the win, we clinched a playoff berth for the 4th year in a row. What an unbelievable accomplishment that is for the whole team and McDermott and Bean. We are now that team that is expected to be a playoff contender every year, and that's amazing how far we've come.
One more win, and we seal our fate as back-to-back-to-back AFC East champions. I kind of let the cart go before the horse and say that they already secured it. Technically, they haven't.
No.
But they will.
We're sitting at about a 97-98% chance. So
there's 3 games left, and we're up 3 games. So as long as we don't lose the rest of the 3 or tie, we're good.
Yeah, so it was a fun night for Bills Mafia. They brought it in Orchard Park as we expect. Snowballs were flying. It was loud. The crowd forced some offsides, some false starts, and it was a tough game though. You've got to give a lot of credit to that Miami Dolphins team. They're a well-coached team for a rookie head coach, rookie head coach and Mike McDaniel. Look, I was expecting it to be a little less competitive. It just goes to show that the Dolphins are the real deal. I think if you're a Bills fan out there that doesn't think that yet, I think you missed the boat on that one. They are a legitimate playoff contender. They will most likely be in the playoffs, and we may very well, like Josh Allen alluded to, meet them again for a 3rd time this year.
Yep. The spread was 7, and had Singletary not gone down at the 1, we could have hit the spread, but I feel like that would have been a push. You know, they would have to make the extra point and all that. It would be 36-29. So yeah, it would have hit that. It was smart of him to go down as long as we made the field goal. Between the end of the first half with 8 seconds left and Allen letting the time expire as he's throwing it across his body again for the second week in a row. This time instead of Davis, it was James Cook, the rookie.
Beautiful.
But then to end the game, when Singletary got tackled, he was trying to take the last 30 or 40 seconds off the clock, which he did successfully. But if we missed that field goal, we would have gone into overtime, and you don't really want that. The snow really started to pick up after the first 3/4 of it being fine.
Yeah, you want to know a fun stat? Bills have scored the most points in the final 2 minutes of the quarters of any team in the league.
The end of the half, basically every game, no matter what the score is, they rally when they have the ball, and that has kind of programmed the offense to know how to take care of the 2-minute drill to end the game, because really, there were 8 minutes left. Miami had the ball. The probability of them winning was higher, and then we forced them to kick the ball with 6 minutes left. And we milked it for the last 6 minutes.
15-play drive, methodical, moving down the field, controlled, mix of run and pass. It's exactly what we were talking about, you know, a couple weeks ago. It's not always flashy, but it's football like that I think come January is going to be a winning formula for playing teams like the Colts or playing teams.
We will not be seeing the
playing
Colts.
teams like the Chiefs or Ravens. Yeah, controlled, methodical football that sucks, you know, time off the clock, keeps the opposing offense on the sideline. And once again, it was just a beautiful mastery of clock management and moving the ball and being mistake-free by Allen and company. And kudos to Ken Dorsey for, I think, calling a really solid game.
Yeah, we're hitting our stride right when we need to. The 5-game streak is like the end of last year. We did the same thing. Allen was 25 of 40. For 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he did have one fumble. It was like a blindsided strip sack. That's going to happen. And then running, we got to talk about, he had 10 carries, 77 yards.
Unbelievable.
And that 2-point conversion, which was the Superman photo.
Yep.
The cartoonist, Adam, for the Buffalo News, has the perfect illustration, which I'll show here. And he's just right over the goal line. He knew it. He went like this. You know, as the ball's fumbled, the commentators are like, oh, no, he fumbled it. But he crossed. And as soon as it crosses the line or touches that end zone, it is a dead ball. Touchdown.
Watching it live, it's always a little nerve-wracking because it's just such a bang-bang and you think the worst.
But Allen's decision-making, and that third quarter was rough. Fourth quarter, Allen said, screw it. I'm going to run. I'm going to run down their throats. I'm going to roll out. I'm going to do whatever I have to. He willed the Bills to victory. So that was an MVP performance.
He even, in his post-game press conference, even alluded to the movie Forrest Gump. I think he compared himself to feeling when like Forrest running.
Yeah. That was his
he
second
thought he could
longest
maybe run right down the tunnel there. He was seeing green there for a second. I think he wanted to go through the end zone and then through the tunnel.
His second longest run ever. Yeah, it was a solid run.
It was great. Honestly, and as much as we get nervous when he runs, I think that fourth quarter when he took over like that, and he sensed that there was, we lost Mitch Morse from a concussion.
That made a difference for sure.
And
Our only solid lineman other than Morse has been Dawkins.
And then was it Questenberry that got moved to center?
Ryan Bates was injured, so he was
out.
I
think it was Questenberry that got moved to center, but I might be wrong on that. But regardless, he's been
a swing tackle more than anything, and I feel like it was somebody else.
I forgot who it was. But yeah, they had to obviously, Allen sensed that he wasn't maybe going to get as much time, and so he had a couple really timely runs in the fourth where he almost took off right after the snap. Like it's like didn't even hesitate and then found a seam, and it's really productive. I mean,
and that 2-point conversion was actually designed where all the line pulled. They shifted left, and he just followed it and jumped over. He took it from the shotgun. Nobody really thought. I know there was a penalty for Miami, which gave them the ball to 1 rather than the 2 for a 2-point conversion. For him to run it from the 3 or 4 was gutsy. It was a good play call because it worked. If we're comparing Josh Allen and Tua didn't have a bad game. 17 of 30. Obviously, played at Alabama. It snowed once in Alabama. Okay, well,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure he was sick of, as anybody, of hearing about that talking point all week.
Yeah.
And I think he definitely came in with some big time motivation, and he did play very effective, but it wasn't. Allen definitely outshined him. If not too long ago, it was Tua being talked about ahead of Allen for the MVP race, but we clearly see that Allen did put an MVP-worthy performance. Tua's performance was admirable, but Allen's was MVP.
Well, Allen had 304 and 4 touchdowns and 77 more on the ground, where Tua, he had 1 rush for 7 yards. And then for for passing, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He did
no
have a
turnovers.
beautiful ball dropped in the first half that should have been a touchdown.
Yep.
He put it low and away from the defender, just where his guy could get it, and he didn't get any help there. So
Yep.
again, it could have looked a little bit better on the stat sheet for him. I got to give him kudos because he did. After the whole week of people talking about how crappy he plays in the cold weather, the whole team came to play on Saturday night. So
With 5 minutes left and the Bills have the ball and they're starting to march down the field, you see him in that giant jacket. He's just starting.
yeah, once the
starting to
snow really
sing.
once the snow really started to
Oh yeah, he's
come
like,
down.
you know.
Yeah.
But the run game, we started getting destroyed right off the bat. They got the ball first. Mostert had a great return, and then he just kept the fire going. I mean, for the game, he had 17 rushes for 136 yards, 8 yards a carry.
The first half especially was borderline inexcusable. I mean, I'm sure McDermott wanted to pull, if he had hair, pull his hair out of his skull.
Yeah.
We couldn't make tackles. We weren't winning the line of scrimmage like McDermott always preaches. We were taking horrible angles. We were tackling very haphazardly. It was
A lot of
it was
broken tackles,
rough.
especially Mostert up top along the edge. There
And
were
credit
4
to
or 5 missed
Mostert.
tackles.
Mostert was
He's fast.
he gets shot out like he shot out of a cannon, and he was stating a week ago or a couple weeks ago how he wasn't seeing the holes clearly. He was complaining. He was criticizing his vision. Well, his vision seemed to be spot on Saturday.
It was
night.
fine. And with Frazier's defense and McDermott, they're the bend don't break mentality where really because of Waddle and Tyreek, you've got to keep them back. So you're relying a lot on your front four. And Daquan Jones was fine, Oliver was fine. The linebackers got burned around the outside, including Milano from Mostert. He's that damn fast. They allowed 188 yards rushing, but they did not let Tyreek and Waddle burn him for more than 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
If there's any silver lining.
Yeah.
Because when Hamlin was originally in there, after Hyde got hurt, and we had DeMar Hamlin in there, and Waddle got us last time, which is really part of the reason why we lost, I was worried about him because Hamlin, he's a solid tackler. He's aggressive. He has had people break tackles on him because he's that aggressive. Sometimes you can over pursue, and
There can be a downside to it.
they say make a mistake at 100% if you're going to make it, which he does. The downside to that is if Poyer's already got someone else, then you're screwed. And they beat us over the top. Waddle got one and Tyreek got one.
Yeah.
But overall, I just hope to see we have a better run defense this week because we're going to be playing Justin Fields, who just broke 1,000 yards. And we've got David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert should be from injury this week. They're a solid run team. Now, they only passed for 142 a game, but we'll get into that when we talk about our preview. Right now, we're doing our recap of the Dolphins game.
Yeah, you had Devin no more than 13 carries.
Again.
Terry. He had 13 rushes for 42 yards, averaging 3.2 a tote. Cook had 5 rushes for 34 yards, averaging 6.8. And he had the clutch touchdown catch, which
did.
he came back to Allen. He juked the defender, came back to Allen when Allen threw it across his body
I
again.
think he learned from Gabe Davis the previous week never to give up on a play.
Beautiful,
When Allen
yeah.
rolled out, I'm like, this looks like deja vu. And if you watch on the play, Dawkins actually just kind of shoved the defensive end, who was chasing down Allen. He actually ended up catching ground on him along the outside, and Allen, last second, bam. end zone.
As much as I'm still royally pissed that we don't seem to want to get Singletary involved for any more than 10 to 12 carries a game, I have to say that I'm happy to see James Cook starting to come into his own. He's really hit, I think, a next level in maturity, and confidence, and he's running the ball very well and catching the ball very well. And like you said, he made kind of a veteran move there when he brought himself open for Allen and gave Allen something to throw to there when there was literally no time remaining. So
If that had expired, if time expired there, and we didn't get those 7 points, it's a different game. And then earlier in the game, we held Miami to 2 field goals. And so it was 7-6 when it could have been 14-7 Miami. But our defense held them in the red zone to a field goal. So, kudos to them.
I was going to say real quick while we're just talking about Motor. On Yahoo, when you're reading the Devin Singletary's Yahoo profile, with all the people that are talking about how he's doing, his nickname from a bunch of people that own him now is Single Carry.
Oh my
Devin Singletary.
That's
But
perfect.
I do want to one more thing before we get off the motor train. He had a second effort on a third down play in the first half. It was just under 9 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Okay.
And it was a third down and short, and he got stopped initially in the backfield.
Kept
Behind
pushing.
the line of scrimmage, gave an additional effort to barely get it, but he powered
Yeah.
through that tackle. And again, that's another reason why I love him. He just churns that motor, and that was a crucial first down to keep the drive alive there. So
If you remember in the game, Hines is our kick returner and our punt returner. He had a kick return where, after contact, he bulldozed his way for 9 more yards. It was great. They couldn't tackle him. He just kept going.
and
going
he
and
got
going.
his first touchdown as a Buffalo Bill.
He did. He certainly did. It
Give
was
him
a
a round
great
of
play.
applause. There we go.
All right, and our receiving, Dawson Knox had himself a game. Now, what's funny is he still had 2 drops. He would have been 8 of 8. He dropped 2 easy passes, but he made the other 6 look sweet. He caught one off his knee. He caught one over the shoulder. He juked a couple guys. He had that one right in the center of the end zone for the touchdown. 98 yards and a touchdown. I'll take it. I picked him up off of waivers a couple weeks ago, and he's my backup. I might even start him this week over Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, no, and he did. He had a great game. I'm still going to be critical of him. If you're making $75 million as a starting tight end in this league, you shouldn't have the 2 drops that he had.
He's
it's
a hell of a
easy-
blocker, too.
He's a great blocker. It's easy to forgive him in a win, but this was a AFC title game, and he needed to keep a drive alive, and that was a 4th down or a 3rd down, and he drops
Crucial,
that ball.
yeah.
Then I think we'd be feeling a little bit
I like-
differently about it. As much as I love the guy, and him and Allen have great rapport, and Allen believes in him probably more than anyone, it's just the drops are still a thing. They haven't stopped being a thing.
Not just with him, though. McKenzie's dropping the ball, too.
It's been unfortunately it's been a thing for more people than
Yeah.
I think we thought.
Gabriel Davis has had drops too. He had some good plays this game though. Diggs was 5 of 9. Now though they weren't drops, there were 4 passes. He was covered pretty well, or it was overthrown. Davis 4 of 6 for 56. Singletary, he actually had 4 targets, 3 receptions, 28 yards. Now,
Yeah.
not big yards because he's coming out of the backfield. But McKenzie 2 of 5 for 24 yards. We did have Cole Beasley out there. We're getting some Cole for Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
He had 1 catch.
The
for 9
crowd
yards.
went wild when he caught that pass.
It was nice. And another round of applause for Quentin Morris with his first regular season touchdown. I believe he had one in the preseason. And that was his only catch. It was 1 of 1 for 14 yards. Hines had that 1 of 1 for 10 yards.
And he
a
did the
touchdown.
awesome backflip for his celebration.
Yeah, man. He's got some moves.
Athleticism.
And for Miami, Waddle was 3 of 7, 114 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek was 9 of 13 for 69 and a touchdown. Trey White gave him some hell. White has shown rust. You could see there's times where he's getting burned by 5 yards with Waddle or somebody, or he's just missing a tackle. Just being out there and getting ready for the playoffs is nice. And then Dane Jackson on the other side, they alternated him every 2 series with Kyer Elam, who actually had a solid game. For 2 weeks ago, him being not even active, he had a solid game.
He did. He had a very solid
Almost
game.
an interception.
He got away with what I thought was a pass interference.
Yeah,
in the
the
first
tug
half,
on the back.
It was first or second half, but regardless, that's nitpicking, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy that the refs didn't call it, but I could see why the Dolphins sideline was going crazy. But
If we're talking about overall efficiency and the team comparison, you had Buffalo with 29 first downs to Miami's 20. That's because we had the ball more. That
Yep.
last drive was crucial. Buffalo was 8 of 14 on 3rd down versus Miami's 5 of 14. Not bad. Miami
Yep.
was 1 of 1 on 4th down. The Bills
yeah,
had
they
446.
ran it. It was a pretty predictable run
Yes,
play, and
yes.
we didn't really get a whole lot of penetration
Yeah.
there.
Miami had over 400 yards, 405. We had 446.
Again, it was talking about earlier in the podcast about how well they played. I think there was there was a bit too much talk about how they were going to handle the cold, and you could tell that McDaniel had them prepared and ready.
Yeah, we had 71 plays, but again, they're 57. That was 14 more plays, and that was that final drive. It was literally just that final drive. We still had 150 yards rushing. They had 188, as you know. Net passing yards, that includes the 2 sacks that Allen took. We had 296 yards. Miami had 217. We sacked them twice. They sacked us twice. There were no interceptions in the game. There was that one fumble lost by Allen. Tua had a fumble lost, or actually it was recovered by his own lineman or
Yeah, it
tight
was
end.
kind of goofy.
It
It
was
was almost
goofy.
looked like he was trying to get rid of it at the last second, and
Yeah, but he got it whacked out.
and they lost yardage because of it for a field
Yeah, it was
goal.
like 3 yards, but they still got the field goal.
Yeah.
Special teams, if we're going to talk about that, Bass was only needed for 1, and it was the game winner at the end, but he did have 3 extra points. Sam Martin had 5 punts. You know, he was averaging 2 earlier in the year, but he's been getting more. Of course, the weather plays a factor, but 43-yard average. He had a couple inside the 20, 49-yard long. Now, Thomas Morstead, their punter, had one that was booming. It was like 60 yards, right down to the 1-yard line.
Oh yeah, it rolled. Nice roll at the end. Nice
And
bounce.
Sanders, their kicker, had 3 field goals and 2 extra points. So 11 points to our 6 for Bass, fantasy wise, whatever. Our defense, it was led by Milano. He had a half a sack with Daquan Jones. Edmonds had 8 tackles along with Milano. Poyer had 5 tackles. Hamlin had 5. Taron Johnson had 4 tackles and a pass defense. Lawson looks good out there. 2 tackles. He had a sack, a pass defense. White, 3 tackles and 3 passes defense. He did have some knockdowns.
Yeah, Lawson had that nice sack, and he was super pumped up
He used to
because
play
once
for
again
Miami,
it was a
revenge
revenge game. You can tell he had a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah, Gregory Rousseau continues to. He's reaping the rewards of having a guy like Vaughn be in his ear for all training camp and this whole season.
And
so.
he didn't have sacks like he did last week, but he pressured Tua to throw it away several times because he's right there.
Man, just real quick on a side note of just looking at the Bills' schedule where we stand. Obviously, we've talked about this several times, but we were 7-6 last year. To have a record now like 11-3, and it's with a stronger strength of schedule, more difficult schedule, I think, this year. Not only with a more difficult schedule do we have 11 wins now after 14 weeks, but the fact that we've played a lot of tough teams, and with how many injuries we've had, it just those 2 factors is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, Miami's Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer had 5 tackles for Miami and a sack.
Seiler, who gives a shit?
That sack actually was the strip sack. He's the one that caused that fumble. And Jalen Phillips was one who had the sack as well.
They've got some dogs on that defense.
They really do. They do. Yeah, Holland had 3 tackles and a pass defense. I mean, they had a couple guys that had 6 tackles, 7 tackles, 6 tackles, 6. They're good. They're a good team. We may see them in the playoffs again. What's funny is the Jets head coach, Robert Saleh, said, I have a feeling we're going to see them again. He didn't specify this year. Of course they're going to see us again. They'll see us twice next year. If we do see them in the playoffs, we do have a lot to worry about with that team.
No, we do.
They're young and growing.
If there's any Bills fan that would go into another third meeting with that Dolphins team, whether it's in Buffalo or Miami, it's going to be in Buffalo if it's anywhere. If anyone is overly confident that we're just going to blow their doors off, you're sadly mistaken. They are. It's not a coincidence that both the games were decided by less than 5 points.
Yeah. Overall now, our team ranking for the Bills, points scored per game, they're in 4th. Total yards, 2nd. Passing, 7th. Rushing, 8th. And then on defense, we have, for points against, we've allowed the 2nd least. Total yards, we've allowed the 9th least. Passing defense, 18th. Rushing defense, 6th. Sacks, 11th, because we really haven't moved much since Vaughn has been out. I mean, Rousseau had 2 last week, but I think he was the only one, really. And interceptions.
Like Oliver's kept it together.
We've
Shaq.
been playing sound. We just need to get more healthy. I feel like we've got a couple more injuries to worry about, and we're good. I believe Christian Benford actually has been 4 weeks, so he should be back this week. He could potentially come back as early as this week.
Is it Daquan Jones, too? That's one of the guys we have on the interior.
Yeah, Daquan Jones is good for run
He's
stuffing.
been solid.
He had a half a sack with
Settle,
Milano.
Tim Settle.
Yeah, Settle had a tackle. Oliver
helped
had
settle
2.
things down.
Overall, I mean, really, the thing that bummed me out this weekend was seeing the Bills' greatest comeback in NFL history get broken when the Bills were losing to the Oilers with Frank Reich behind center. We were down 35-3, came back and tied it up 38-38 and won 41-38 in overtime. It was the greatest comeback of all time, regular season or playoffs. And that was a wild card game. So to me, I think it's still more significant. But hats off to the Vikings. They were down 33-0 to Jeff Saturday's Colts
Unbelievable.
on Saturday. You would think he'd be able to do better with his last name being Saturday. I don't know what to say. I just was watching it while standing in line, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is actually going to happen.
I think it's ironic that of all the other 31 teams that could have taken the record from the Bills, it was the Vikings.
I know. And
Very similar.
And against a team
franchises.
that ousted Frank Reich.
Yeah.
It was his roster, but without him.
Pretty wild.
A couple things I wanted to say towards the end here. Sammy Watkins got cut after only 13 catches. He played in 7 games for the Packers, couldn't really stay healthy, had 13 catches, got cut. He was claimed. He was claimed by the Ravens.
Yeah.
Because they lost Devin Duvernay. He's on IR with a foot injury. That's really it. You see anything about Willie McGinnis? You see his assault?
I heard that he beat the out of somebody.
Yeah, he was at a restaurant or a nightclub or whatever, and him and some buddies went over and popped somebody and kept hitting him hard, and then Willie had a wine bottle and was bashing him in the head with it.
Alcohol is a dangerous drug.
He was arrested for it. Not sure that he lost his job, but because he's pretty good at what he does. But man, that is stupid.
The downside of abusing alcohol, you do stupid things like that.
Yep. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention. There was the Lions game. Penei Sewell, some father or some husband had a Sewell jersey on, offensive lineman, right? And he's going against his wife, and he does this little.
Oh, that
you
was
saw
hilarious.
It? And he pushes her off, right?
Yes.
You know? So
like he's
he
like
was
reliving his old offensive line days.
Yeah, like pass blocking. And then
so funny.
Somebody showed Sewell, and he broke it down. He said, "All I see is greatness." He goes, "That's good." He gets off the ball real quick. He extends his hand. He hits him in the closest spot, shoves him off his point. He's like, "That was great." So, you know, hats off to that guy. Mm-hmm. He not only got his fame, but the guy that he was emulating
that's cool.
Gave him some props. So
that's in the social media age we live in now that everyone's fully immersed in. That's like some of the cool things where you can in times before social media where you could have never had that interaction, you can have those opportunities now. I got a quick question for you, a fun question to ask you. I've been thinking about it for the better part of the last few days. And as we were getting closer to the podcast, I thought it'd be a fun thing to bring up.
Okay.
If you were to put Alan to a lie detector test and ask him, in order, your absolute hated rival in the AFC East, top most hated rival that you play in the AFC East, down to your least hated. So, like, literally 1, 2, 3. The team he wants to destroy the most in our division, second most and third most. If he had to answer honestly, you know. I mean, that would be a tough question. He probably wouldn't want to answer it, like, in real life.
Well,
but
if you ask him right now, we had lost to the Jets and the Dolphins, and he got his redemption on both of them. Based on the history.
He's 8-2 against the Dolphins. He
is
always
now
seems to
8-2.
play out of his mind against them. But
So
he's
I don't
always
think he
starting to play.
worries about them as much. He does well against them. I think he matches up well against them, no matter who's coaching or playing for them. I would say Patriots, Dolphins, Jets.
I was thinking Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, but
yeah,
it's just
it could
fun
be
to think
Patriots
about.
first because he's had their number, but really he's also had Belichick's number.
Yeah, no,
His
not
record
not
against
at first,
them.
but now, yeah, in the last 2 years, yes. Yeah, first couple years not so much, and now the last 2 years it's like he's figured it out. But
And I mean, I love that the AFC East is competitive, and all 4 teams still have a 500 record or better. Mm-hmm. We've got what 500, 8-6, 11-3.
yeah, the atmosphere you were sorely missed at the cheerful bullpen.
Oh, was
but the atmosphere was awesome.
Oh yeah,
It was-
you got a video of it.
got a video. The energy was great. There was no room left. There was even a few people that came in too late and they had to leave because there was no seating room and they didn't want to stand. Christina and I met up with our buddy Brant, and he was now part of the Bills Mafia family that we have.
Yeah, shout out
go
to him.
watch
He
the
listened
game.
to this. Christina and Brent, they pay attention every week, and I know that they're downloading and listening before the. Just so you know, before the video version comes out, I upload to Spotify, Amazon Music or whatever, Audible, whatever it is, and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. So it's up there. You want to do a rapid fire recap?
Sure.
All right. We're going to do a rapid fire recap of the league. We will start with Thursday night's game, the 49ers and Seahawks. 49ers really took it to them. Christian McCaffrey and Kittle were great. Purdy is playing pretty good.
I can't even believe it. He looks like a seasoned vet out there, and he was he was Mr. Irrelevant.
I know. The last pick of the draft ends up playing like possibly a modern day Romo or Brady.
I'm a little surprised with Seattle's downfall. They were surging there for a long time. They were the talk of the town, and now they are on a skid.
Well, they were playing just like the Giants. Their record was better than really they were playing. But Geno Smith was playing great, and they're playing the Niners defense, which is solid. And as much as that was a 21-13 game, 49ers could have scored again. They just kneeled it out.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey's unbelievable.
Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and their hapless receiver. I know they have Amari Cooper, and Watson's still supposed to be a top
Donovan
5.
Peoples-Jones. Don't forget about that guy.
Yeah,
I have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He's been Mr. Consistent from a fantasy perspective and half PPR.
Yeah.
In the last 5 weeks, he's pretty much put up nothing less than 11 points.
Sweet.
So he's a very, very solid target with good hands.
Well, Cleveland beat Baltimore.
And Baltimore finally not having Lamar Jackson caught up to him, because remember,
For sure.
I was singing the praises.
Yeah, Huntley last week.
The fact that they won 2 in a row without their, first of all, without Lamar, then they lose their backup in the game, and then the following week, so it finally caught up to them, and they got beat by a team that had a real starting quarterback.
Yeah, and then you had Philly squeak by Chicago. That was a lot closer than a lot of people expected. So the Bills are going to be playing them this week. Now, they've won 3 games. They've only really been competitive because of Justin Fields. Their number 1 receiver, Darnell Mooney, out for the year. They're probably going to have Byron Pringle as their number 1 receiver, who has 7 catches for 96 yards. But he is a threat. On defense, their rookie Kyler Gordon's playing well. He had an interception against Hurts. Hurts is banged up, may or may not play. But Philly did end up getting the victory, 25-20.
Justin Fields walked off the field and went to the locker room there for a while in the fourth quarter, and then came back and led a touchdown drive or something like that.
And the Lions, their only loss in the last 6 games has been against the Bills.
Campbell. He's got that team on a freaking roll.
Yeah, and they beat the Jets, and Jets are now 7-7. You've got Jacksonville rolling over Dallas. There were some turnovers there, but Trevor Lawrence, I think he's coming into his own.
Yeah.
He might be every bit as good as they were hoping when he played at Clemson. He was fun to watch, but kind of a boring leader, like even keel, chill guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want that fiery guy, but I'll tell you what,
he definitely
he's
has a
on the
different
field.
demeanor. He doesn't. He has a very atypical demeanor.
For sure. He's nothing like Allen, but he plays well on the field right now. He's doing very well.
Real quick, just to rewind to the Lions-Jets game, there were a lot of talking heads in the media that didn't give the Lions a chance in New York.
Yeah.
And so it felt good to see the Lions quiet.
It was still close. It was 20-17.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that just felt like it wasn't even going to be close.
Yeah.
There were some people that were on the Lions bandwagon, but like a lot of people were just not giving the Lions a chance for whatever
they still
reason.
have a chance in the playoffs now. Denver got a victory over Arizona.
Look at that, without Russell Wilson.
2 crappy teams. Yeah, they had Rippon.
Go figure. To start getting some wins, they had to not have Russell Wilson in the lineup. That makes $275 million.
Cliff Kingsbury should be out of a job at the end of the year. We've talked about it before. He likely won't make it through.
Yeah, they overpaid a quarterback that was whining for money. They get
I know
their
GM. He was like, I need a leave of absence, and after you pay Kyler all that guaranteed money, he gets hurt, and then they're losing.
Even before Kyler got hurt, they were not in really any kind of conversation of making a playoff run. Now he is hurt. The thing is, though, even before his injury, they weren't headed in a good direction. So.
Nope. And then the Chargers beat the Titans. That was a close one. I don't know what's going on, but the Chargers are coming on hot, and with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen healthy, Herbert has options, and they're playing well. So
if they're one of the teams talk about hitting your
sneaky
stride.
playoff.
If they start hitting their stride at the right time, and
they're in the hunt.
Yep.
Then you've got the Giants, who finally won their first game in quite a while against their division rival, the Commanders, 20-8 or 20-12, and Heineke's comeback was just short. You see that McLaurin got a penalty for being off the line of scrimmage? And he was looking at the ref.
Yeah.
The ref held his hand out. I think he was pointing like, you got to move up.
Yeah.
And he goes, he gave me the thumbs up. I didn't see a thumbs up.
Yeah, I didn't.
But either way, that cost the game because Brian Robinson had scored on that play.
Also, it was an absolute bullshit call at the end to not call pass
Oh,
interference.
God, on the left side of the end zone?
Missed.
Yeah, that
blatantly missed. He
that
had
was
his
bad.
arms wrapped around him.
Yep.
Again, I know in real time and with how fast these players are, it's easier said than done to be an NFL ref, but you're getting paid more than some fucking lawyers are. I mean, you get paid a handsome amount of money to try to make sure that you catch calls like that in crucial spots of a game. So to see it get blatantly missed, if I was a Commanders fan, I would have been fucking pissed.
Yeah, no, I get it. Every game is going to have some blown calls, but when it costs you the game, it sucks. And the coach is going to say
a lot
it's
more than I
just
think
one.
it should. So
Of course.
and they're getting paid again. They're getting paid handsomely. They're not getting paid peanuts.
They're not full time. They're lawyers.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny that they are. Some of them are lawyers, but then they're
Yeah.
making they're making a lot of money. I mean, they're making
For
a lot
one
more
day of the
money than
week.
the average Joe Schmo, $250,000 or something like.
And then we talked about the Vikings game against the Colts. That was just a few minutes from going a tie for that being a tie, and then we would have secured that greatest comeback of all time. But
Yeah,
whatever.
it is. You know what?
Hats off to
Yeah.
Cousins.
We got bigger things to worry about than holding that record. So
The Bills beat Miami, of course. New Orleans beat Atlanta in a barn burner, 21-18. Pittsburgh that beat Carolina. Mike Tomlin, doesn't matter if he has a dumpster fire or not. He's got a lot of talent, actually. They might not have a
lot of
winning
pride.
record. This might be his first year not finishing above 500, but he's pretty damn close. And,
well, he's going to try to do everything he can to win
Yep.
out and avoid that. I
Yep.
mean, it's what's probably motivating him. So
And one of the surprises of the week, the worst team in the league record-wise, Houston, almost pulled out the upset, but of course, Mahomes does Mahomes things, and they won 30-24. Kansas City got the victory over the
back-to-back
Texans.
weeks of the Texans playing up to their opponent and almost beating the Cowboys, and
Yep.
then almost pulling off a miracle against the Chiefs. And then it's back-to-back weeks that you have the Chiefs maybe playing down to their opponent. So it's very interesting to follow this as we close out these final 3 weeks in the season, because I do think that when you talk about the eye test, I think the Bills are, even though, the Bills barely squeaked one away against the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are a very high-quality team with a lot more talent than the Texans have.
Yeah.
And to see the Chiefs barely get by against the Texans, it raises your eyebrow a little bit.
The Bills have like the 5th hardest schedule in the league, and they have the best record
Right,
in
and
the
that's
AFC.
what I was saying. Between their strength of schedule and their injuries, the fact that we have 11 wins, it's something that cannot be overstated and not taken for granted.
And how about that Patriots game against the Raiders?
let's-
Holy crap.
Let's give a round of applause to the
Oh,
Oakland, or
man.
I want to say the Oakland Raiders,
Yeah,
the
you
Las
did.
Vegas Raiders.
I don't know what Ramondre Stevenson was thinking, but when he pitched it, and then who was that? Jacoby Myers
Yeah.
took the ball and tried to throw it back to Mac Jones of all people.
And then the former
He
Patriot,
got blown up.
the former Patriot catches it and just stiff arms McCorkle Jones into the ground. There wasn't a damn thing McCorkle Jones could do.
No. Was that Chandler Jones?
Yes,
Yeah.
former Patriot.
And I
Oh,
mean, he annihilated
God.
him and ran it.
There was on WGR, they were talking about how one of the guys tuned in immediately to the sister station in Boston to and I wish I would have done the same. I guess it's maybe not too late to like go back or rewind, but oh my God, when he said that, I was so jealous that I didn't do that in the moment to just like go and listen to the Patriots fans call in, because I just can't even imagine.
Holy cow.
I can imagine, but man.
Yeah, that's music to any Bills fans' ears. But and then Tampa, we watched Tom Brady lose. They were up 23-0, and Joe Burrow came back to win 34-23.
Oof.
What a game!
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Buffalo Bills here in a few weeks on Monday Night Football is looming very large for the AFC playoff picture.
Yep. And the last game of the week was Monday night. It was Green Bay and the Rams, and you had Baker Mayfield taking on Aaron Rodgers, and it was 24-12. I mean, Rodgers got the win. He says he thinks they could win out and still make the playoffs. Maybe they can, but Baker didn't have as good of a game.
I don't know, maybe Baker is just one of those guys that does really well under high stress situations when the cards are stacked against him and he loves to have a chip on his shoulder. It's hard not to feel like you saw this coming, where he has this miracle game where he gets to a team and has like 3 days to look at the playbook. And I don't know, I feel like it was predictable to see
It was your
him
roller
fall
coaster
back
metaphor.
to earth.
Yeah.
It's like we saw what was the true Baker Mayfield? Is it what we saw when he pulled out a miracle out of his ass, or was he going to come back down to earth?
I think when you've got somebody with a lot of talent who's up and down, up and down, up and down, you've got a backup. A lot of people sleep on the backups in the NFL, but they're solid ass quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they just can't win every game, and you can't rely on them to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, when
Josh
there's only
Allen can win a
32
game.
spots, you're going to still have a hell of a lot of talent outside of that.
If you put Josh Allen on the Texans, they might have a 500 record. That makes a difference between a quality franchise starter
Josh
and
Allen
a first
on the
round
Texans, I think
bust.
they'd have a better than a 500 record.
I'm just saying they're 112-1 or something.
Yeah,
and they could be better than that. They could be 7-7 or better. And that was my point, though, is that Baker on the Texans would not be that. He might be 3 or 4 wins at most. That's why Josh Allen was a better pick than Baker. We know that now.
Mm-hmm. It's an exciting time of year. I'd like to say that it's the most exciting time in fantasy, other than your draft parties, is playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs.
Playoffs? You kidding me? I'm just trying to win a game. And so, yeah, it's an exciting time. The pressure mounts. Every decision you make on your rosters is very much under pressure.
Under pressure.
And so it's exciting. I'm excited to move on to the next round, and I've had a couple really solid. I blew my wager money or my waiver money early, and so I had to be really, really smart about who I tried to add. And I was able to add Kenneth Walker for free. I was able to add now McKinnon for free, who's really came on strong. I added Peoples-Jones. Situations like that where you try to add to your team and hope that they can make a difference. And sometimes you hit gold and sometimes you don't. But
sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you got to know when to fold on. Know when to hold on.
Well, that's going to do it. We've got one more episode for you this week, and that's the Chicago Bears preview. But the Bills beat the Dolphins 32-29 to improve to 11-3, and we look forward to talking about the Bills going to the Windy City to take on the 3-11 Chicago Bears. I'm Scott Martin. With me, as always,
Greg Vollmer.
And this has been the house that Ellen built. Let's go,
Buffalo! All right.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
That's okay. Thanks, Google.
What was that?
That's a Google Home Mini.
Oh my God! Wait, has that always been connected?
Yes.
And it's never done anything.
Waiting for this episode to come out, and you want...
I have 9 podcast episodes that are ready to go. Listen at your own pace by saying pause or next. Let's start with stuff you should know. Who is Dorothy Parker, really?
This clip is brought to you by Coca-Cola. The holidays always find a
Play
way.
Bills
It's
beat
about
the Dolphins.
enjoying the real magic of the
Hey,
season
Google,
by surrounding-
stop. Stupid doesn't know when to shut up. Well, the Buffalo Bills beat the Dolphins. I just want to get this episode over so I can take a swig of this. Holy Okay.